Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zeng here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online VGC 20 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. For the last two episodes, we've been using this really fun Zoroark team. I've honestly had such a blast playing with this. We'll be playing one more episode with it today. Once again, huge thank you to RedTotey for providing this team. You can learn more about the team in the description below. There is a code as well as the paste, and go check out RedTotey on Twitter and YouTube. First game of the day, we're up against a pretty high-rated opponent, just outside the top 100. And they're, got some classic hyper offense stuff with Porygon, Clef, Urshifu. There's Braviary, which often you see Talonflame over, and then Arcanine and Rotom. So I feel like we've played our fair share of Porygon-Zs, but I still don't know what the best approach here is. What's interesting is that my opponent does not have a single normal resist or immune, so I could go with our own Porygon-Z here. Screen support could be kind of valuable here. I don't think Zoroark, unfortunately, is amazing for us. Actually, Zoroark would have value if they lead PZ and Clef, because then I can just go for like a Fake Tier or Metal Sound Sludge Bomb. Huh. It's actually kind of tempting. If I go with Klefki and Zoroark, what do I have in the back? Who do I Dynamax? Dracozolt feels like a great Dynamax option here, but regular Primarina feels pretty good as well. I'm going to try Klefki Zoroark again. It was really good for us in that first game yesterday. I don't know. Having Noivern for Tailwind is interesting, because I could probably go Noivern Dracozolt and just set up the Tailwind and try to sweep with Dracozolt in the late game. The alternative is bringing Primarina, but yeah, actually, the more I look at it, the more I think Primarina is a pretty solid bring here. So, I don't know. I do like the idea of having two speed control methods here through Thunder Wave and Tailwind, so we'll see. Either way, let's get into today's episode. As always, if you enjoy, please share your support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. Question of the day, obviously there was that announcement video earlier today about the next DLC, so I'm curious if you've watched it. What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments below. I personally am really excited for the DLC. I think the announcement itself was cool. The music video at the end was actually probably the coolest thing about it, but I enjoyed it. And I'm surprised that the next DLC is coming out actually in October, so that'll be fun. Eager to just make content around it. So let me know what you think, and thanks as always for supporting Road to Ranked. I mean, this is the lead I was expecting. I really do want to just go for the Metal Sound Sludge Bomb play here, because we could pick up the KO onto Clefairy, then even if we lose the Zoroark, we're trading 1 for 1, because PZ should max and target the Dracozolt here. And then I can bring in Noivern and go for like a Light Screen. Light Screen Tailwind. I guess the only problem is that Dracozolt would have to knock out multiple Pokemon. I don't know if we have enough time for that. Since I don't know if I needed to actually bring the... Okay, Clef just goes for Follow Me, which is what we want to see. So hopefully we don't miss the Metal Sound. That'd be rough. Okay, looks like we connect. Very nice. So we should not get the Clefairy, which was, what I was going for here. But maybe I could have had my own Porygon-Z in the back. Either way, should get the KO here. Okay, that's good. The problem is that Porygon-Z is just so oppressive, and it does so much damage into everything that I have. So there's Max Strike, no surprise to see that. Oh, it actually targets Klefki, interesting. Probably reading into a Protect or a Max Guard there. Well, that's really good news for us. Because it means that I get Zoroark out for, another turn. So, what I want to do here, I have Thunder Wave. Light Screen is really tempting in this late game, because my opponent does have a fair amount of special attackers, and, regular Porygon-Z Hyper Beam is also going to hurt. Alternatively, I can just go for Thunder Wave, but with Arcanine coming out... what would I want to do? We have options here for sure. I could even Metal Sound into Arcanine, but I don't know if Draco Meteor would KO that. Because obviously my opponent can pick up a double knockout right now. I'm leaning towards just Light Screening, protecting Zoroark, get a free switch into Noivern. I think I like that. So let's go Light Screen here, protect this turn. And the reason why I want to go for this is because I don't want my opponent to just pick up a double knockout immediately. This means that Porygon-Z has committed 2 turns of Dynamax just to knock out a Klefki, which I would say is pretty good for us. So we get Light Screen up, which is nice. There's Will-O-Wisp actually coming out into the Dracozolt. Okay. And Max Strike. And when I mean Dracozolt, I mean Zoroark. Huh. Wonder if they don't recognize that that's actually a Zoroark right now. Or they're just covering for a switch would make a lot of sense as well. So you can't knock out both of my Pokemon here, which is good for us. I can bring out Noivern. I feel like Tailwind is the correct play here just to ensure that I have Dracozolt under Tailwind for the last 3 turns of the game. It also means that it's Aguav, and we know the Life Orb. It means that we get to, become a little bit speedier with the Zoroark as well, basically neutralizing those speed drops. So I'm leaning towards Tailwind and Night Days here into the Arcanine, so that the Arcanine's in Draco KO range, and then I can just bring out Dracozolt and Max Lightning the Porygon-Z. That seems okay to me. Okay, so no Protect. You can't knock out both Pokemon here, which is good, but one Pokemon is definitely going down this turn. We've been lucky to not really miss the Nightshades and any of our attacks, really, so that's been pretty fortunate. Okay, we get good damage there. Arcanine does opt for the Snarl this time around, so Snarl Max Strike into Noivern is my opponent's best play here, so let's see if they opted for that. Because I would be at -3 speed now with Zoroark, which I guess actually might be a problem. There's Max Strike into the Noivern, yeah. You can see how strong Porygon-Z is with Life Orb. Like, we have Light Screen up, and it's still just one-shotting everything, basically. So we have Tailwind up, and we got Dracozolt, and we saw that our opponent's max. So all of those are good things. But obviously Arcanine may have Will-O-Wisp. So the play I'm actually leaning towards here is maxing the Zolt and Quaking into the Arcanine while Night Dazing into PZ. They don't have any electric resists either, though. I guess I could just max lightning everything, but the max Quake gives me a Spadef boost. Still got 3 turns of light screen as well. I just really don't want to get burnt right now. Because Arcanine should outspeed Zoroark, because we're at -3. So if I get burnt, that's really bad. So I'm going to Dynamax, I'm going to Quake into the Arcanine, which should KO through Protect, actually. And just Night Daze into Porygon. Because a Porygon Hyper Beam won't KO our Dracozolt. Ideally, here, Porygon-Z protects as Arcanine tries to Will-O-Wisp bust. If they go for that, I think we're in a really fantastic spot. Even if the Porygon Hyper Beams, though, like, I guess Trick Room actually is what I might be worried about from Porygon at this point in the game. It's been a really interesting match, though, because normally we Dynamax pretty early on, but in this game, because we were up against PZ, we kind of needed to stall it out a little bit. So no Protect comes out from either Pokemon, which I think is fine. Especially if you're just Hyper Beaming into the Dracozolt, like with the +1 Spadef and the Light Screen, we should definitely survive. I could have maybe protected the Zoroark here, but I also think Dracozolt can win 2v1 against my opponent. But I guess if you have a Sash Urshifu in the back, maybe it's a little scarier. Oh, it actually has Tri-Attack. Interesting. Okay. Haven't seen that in a minute. That's not like super surprising to see either, right? But and Night Day still just picks up. Okay, we got a crit there. A little lucky. Although I honestly don't think that matters too much because, depending on what the last one is, like, Dracozolt's such a good late-game sweeper against my opponent's entire team. I don't even really know. Like, Urshifu's probably the thing I was most worried about my opponent having in the back, but it's like, yeah, there's the Urshifu. Like, even without that crit, what we could have done this next turn was just max Wormwind into the PZ, which should KO through Protect. And then Urshifu's at -1 attack as well. So I think we were probably fine anyway. I guess it is the Dark Urshifu, so you could Wicked Blow to ignore the stat drops. Let's see. There's no reason not to Wormwind here. And just actually I don't want to miss, so just Sludge Bomb. Yeah, so that might have been an important crit depending on the item here on Urshifu. But the position I wanted to set myself up for in this late game was just Dracozolt under Tailwind. So if Porygon hung around there, like, yeah, I guess because if you're Sash Urshifu, okay, they actually go for close combat. Yeah, it doesn't do very much damage. I think you need a Wicked Blow there, actually. And we get the KO with Sludge Bomb. Yeah, we were at -1 special attack from Snarl, which, like, without the special attack drop, I would think we KO the Porygon. Tri-Attack was really interesting. What I was thinking was that my opponent had to commit a Hyper Beam there, and I was like, if you Hyper Beam, the Porygon is completely useless the next turn, so I can just target whatever comes in after I knock out the Arcanine. So, yeah, I think without that crit, this game could have been a lot tougher, because you basically stall out my Dynamax. Like, I only get one max move off against the Urshifu, most likely. And as you saw, Max Warmwind and Max Lightning doesn't actually one-shot the Urshifu there. Plus, I think Urshifu probably has Focus Sash in that position anyway. So, definitely a fortunate crit. Not one that I think we necessarily absolutely needed, but it made the endgame a lot easier for us. And it pretty much secured us the victory. We're up against an opposing Dracozolt here. Man, I mean, yesterday you guys saw how good Klefki Zoroark was against the Dusclops, and I really want to lead it here again. I really do. What's likely to come out as a lead, though? Amoonguss Dusclops, because if that comes out, like, I could just go with the classic Noivern PZ and just, you know, go for the taunt Trick Room that we've been going for very consistently. Seems a little bit better here, especially because of the Amoonguss. So Noivern Porygon-Z, what do I want in the back is the question. Probably just Primarina and Dracozolt here, with us maxing the Dracozolt. Oh wait, what am I doing? If I'm bringing PZ, I'll probably max that. Maybe not. I mean, even just a regular Hyper Beam and Dark Pulse is pretty valuable here. So, once again, that is like one of the trickier things about playing with this team, I feel like, which is figuring out who to Dynamax and getting the most mileage out of it. We have, for the most part, I feel like been in positions where we've made the right calls. It's Urshifu and Dusclops, okay. So, this is where Klefki and, like, the Klefki stuff could have worked out. I mean, actually, this is still fine, right? I get to scout out the item on the Urshifu. And it's Scarf, which I was thinking might be the case. So this is really interesting then, because what do you go for? You can't do much here into Noivern unless I guess you have like Ice Punch, but like I could pretty easily turn one just go for a Taunt and switch out into Primarina to take a potential close combat. I think I like that. Like Dusclops here probably doesn't even set up Trick Room, but then this Taunt is really safe, and turn 2 I can just Tailwind. And probably Hyper Voice, to be honest. Because I think the Urshifu is going to want to switch out. Well, I guess part of the problem is, do we even outspeed Urshifu with Primarina under Tailwind if it's Scarfed? Ah, U-turn. Okay. Well, I don't mind that. I mean, it gives me a little bit more information on my opponent's side as well. You obviously want U-turn, Surging Strikes, close combat. Big question is still, what is your 4th move? But that's fine. It does give them a free switch in, but the thing is that I think Noivern and Primarina actually matches up really well into my opponent's team. Shout out to my WBE team, by the way, because we have Noivern and Primarina on that core as well, which is one of the reasons why I was really excited to try out this team. So, I don't know, taunting Dusclops is good for us. Let's see what my opponent brings in right now. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Dusclops just go for a Nightshade because you're expecting a taunt here, but I think our lead was pretty safe, so it covered most options. That is going to be Hatterene switching in, okay. That's actually a really solid switch in because I can't taunt the Hatterene, so if my opponent's really committed to setting up Trick Room, they can probably just get it up next turn. And, dude, Icy Wind Dusclops. I feel like I've seen this more than once at this point. Because I actually think now if you're my opponent, you Dynamax the Hatterene. Although that becomes interesting then because I can just set up a Tailwind. Because now I don't think my opponent's going to be Trick Rooming. So, the play I want to go for here is just Tailwind. And Hyper Voice. Yeah, Icy Wind Dusclops, I feel like... Before, I would have never expected it. Now I've seen it 2 or 3 times in the last week. So, it's definitely picking up usage, which is pretty interesting. I don't know, I feel like Max Hat is pretty good against our team comp overall. But they don't max, and they actually hard switch out into Amoonguss. Huh. Well, this gets interesting then, because you can't Trick Room right now, so I'm getting free damage with Hyper Voice. I've also got Flamethrower, right? So I could pretty easily Flamethrower the Amoonguss next turn. You obviously know I have Taunt, so you've got to be worried about that. And Dusclops is on the offensive right now with Nightshade. But we survive with 1 HP. I mean, I'm really leaning towards just Flamethrower Hyper Voice here. You know I have Taunt. I mean, Amoonguss probably protects, right? Yeah, it does. But I'm going to survive this turn with Noivern, which is why I'm okay with this, I think. This is a really interesting Dusclops, because like it's actually able to offensively chunk away at my Noivern through the combination of Icy Wind and Nightshade. That Protect was relatively obvious, but I don't really feel like I had a better play there. We are just getting all the crits today. Very lucky. Yeah, there's Nightshade. This time into Primarina, okay. Shakes off the taunt, which means you can set up Trick Room now. If you just follow me. That's pretty bad, isn't it? Because then I think Hatterene under Trick Room sweeps us. Unless Flamethrower one-shots here, but there's no way it does. Maybe they don't Trick Room, though. I don't know. It would be odd for them not to Trick Room here, admittedly. But I think I'm just going to Flamethrower Hyper Voice here. Yep, there's Rage Powder. It's probably Rage Powder, Trick Room, bring in G-Max Hatterene, and sweep us with Hat, which I think was really smart. So, I could have led Klefki Zoroark in this game and just try to snipe away the Dusclops. Oh, we don't even KO Amoonguss here with the double up, which is really bad because Trick Room should be going up. Unless for some reason they mess up an Icy Wind here, but yeah. With Amoonguss out on the field, you should definitely be Trick Rooming. The only upside I will say for us right now is that they don't get Hat in for free. So you probably Spore, Primarina, Nightshade, Noivern. So, I'm going to Flamethrower the Primarina. What do I max in this game is the other question. I think it might have to be Primarina. So, like, Flamethrower and switch out? Actually, can I taunt? Because I don't want to give him a free switch in into... I'm going to taunt, actually. And go out into Zolt. Yeah, this is really interesting. Icy Wind is cool as well because it means that you don't have to Trick Room when you have Scarf Urshifu out on the field. Now that, I did not expect. But I'll take it, all things considered. I mean, that did so much damage, though. Okay, our Tailwind's petered out. Helping Hand, Icy Wind, Nightshade, Dusclops, and Trick Room. Wow, that is an interesting moveset. So no Pain Split, which is actually really good to know. 3 turns of Trick Room left. I can obviously protect Dracozolt here. I really want to protect Dracozolt and just knock out the Dusclops here. I know I'll survive Nightshade. Amoonguss stays in. Yeah, I mean, you probably want to Sludge Bomb here. Okay, nice. Yeah, okay. Oh, they Sludge Bomb? Oh, does that KO? That KOs. Oh, that's not great. I mean, we've stalled out a lot of Dynamax already, though, which is somewhat in our favor. I could bring in PZ now. Wait, I could reverse Trick Room with PZ. Huh. But there's still Scarf Urshifu in the back. How do we deal with Scarf Urshifu? I feel like I can't bring in Primarina because you can just Nightshade Sludge Bomb that slot. 2 turns of Trick Room left. You can't Spore with the Amoonguss right now. What do you do here for my opponent? Sludge Bomb, Nightshade, Sludge Bomb, Zolt. I mean, I could actually maybe pick up a double KO here. If we pick up a double KO, then Urshifu has to come out. Yeah, okay, I think we max. I'm gonna Strike. And just Dragon Claw. Well, I guess there's no reason to not Bolt Beak, right? Yeah. It should pick up the KO if we hit. Here's the thing. We know it's Scarf Urshifu, so with 1 turn of Trick Room left, if I pick up a double KO, you have to bring it in. However, it's decently likely my opponent just goes Nightshade Sludge Bomb here onto... Yeah, I think Nightshade Sludge Bomb onto the Dracozolt makes a lot of sense. Or just Helping Hand Sludge Bomb. But then Dusclops is pretty useless next turn. Okay, yeah, they're going to go Nightshade. I mean, it's going to be a double up onto Zolt, right? Yeah. So I didn't need to Dynamax the Porygon there. I could have just maxed Dark Pulsed. Okay, so here's what happens. My opponent brings out Hatterene. And because we're Assault Vest, I actually don't think there's really much of an out. Unless my opponent misplays it. Because what you do here is you bring out Hatterene and you go for Dynamax and you Helping Hand G-Max the Primarina here for a KO. Or you could actually just Nightshade double up onto that slot too. That works too. Yeah. So I actually don't know if there was much we could have done here. It's a really interesting mix between defense and offense, and fast and slow here. So in retrospect, Zoroark Klefki would have been the mode, but I was really afraid of an Amoonguss lead. I was kind of surprised not to see that come out. Yeah, I mean, I think we max strike here. My only hope is for my opponent to mess up, right, and not target Primarina for some reason. So if for some reason they mess up and they don't target Primarina and we get a double KO here, that's how we win. But if you're my opponent, you should know that I'm Assault Vested. Wait, should you? What did I switch Primarina into earlier? I actually don't know I'm AV. So my only hope here would be for my opponent to target PZ aggressively and to survive and then pick up a double KO. Because then either of our Pokemon should be able to one-shot the Urshifu. Alright, they go for the Helping Hand. But if they go for, like, Helping Hand, target PZ, and we survive, there's a chance. But they correctly target Primarina. Yeah, nicely done. Is there a reason not to Nightshade there? Yeah, I mean, both options are fine, I think. Yeah, I mean, even if we hit through, there's Urshifu in the back, and you just Helping Hand close combat, and we get hit by Confusion, so that should be game. Well played, and I think this goes to show that, like, the Porygon-Noivern lead is not necessarily foolproof against Trick Room teams. Yeah, Icy Wind Clops I was not expecting. I needed to get more mileage out of Taunt, and the problem was that my opponent was able to stall out my Taunt, so then they were able to get a guaranteed Trick Room up, which wasn't good. So, like, the turn Amoonguss protected was super obvious, and I maybe could have switched out and capitalized off that. But I don't really know what I go out into, to be honest, because, like, yeah, it's just a tricky position to be in. I'm curious if Soak Scarf Max Strike KOs Hatterene here. I wouldn't expect it to. We actually snap out of Confusion, but with Scarf Urshifu in the back, there's no way to win this. Because you can just Helping Hand close combat, and Hatterene survives that anyway. Yeah, well played. The obvious adjustment to have made in this game would have been Zoroark Klefki, because then we can just go for the Nightshade. But the thing is, if my opponent, like, does expect a Zoroark and they just close combat into that, like, I think the way to have played this was probably have baited our disguised our Zoroark as Primarina, so lead Klefki Zoroark with Zoroark disguised as Primarina and try to force the Urshifu out, and then just, because, like, Nightshade, the Klefki Zoroark duo actually pretty much beat everything on my opponent's end. I think actually that lead also would have worked out fine, because, like, even if you get Trick Room up, I can at least Light Screen and stall out the Hatterene, and then Dynamax Primarina. So, if I were to replay this, I probably don't bring Noivern. I lead Klefki, Zoroark with Zoroark disguised as Primarina, and as the fourth is interesting. What would I bring as the fourth? I could actually maybe still bring Noivern just as Tailwind, because if they don't set up their Trick Room, then we can Tailwind and sweep under Tailwind. Alright, getting into our last match of the day. Really interesting team with Clefable, Coalossal, and the Sneasel. So obviously I have to respect the Sneasel-Coalossal combo. This is where Primarina comes in huge. We might have to be forced to Dynamax Primarina just because of the Coalossal, to be honest. Primarina... I mean, Zoroark actually does really good offensive damage here. Like, Sludge Bomb and Flamethrower hits most of the team for super effective. So part of me is actually tempted to just lead Zoroark immediately. I could just go Klefki, though. What's the lead I'm most worried about here? Like, Clef and Hat to set up Trick Room? Clef, Hat to set up Trick Room. How would I get around that? Maybe reverse it with my own Porygon-Z. PZ is such a bad bring here if I don't max. I guess Hyper Beam's fine. I don't know, this one's weird where it's like, I don't necessarily need Tailwind. Maybe we just go Zoroark. Let's try Zoroark. I'm gonna go Klefki Primarina. Or sorry, Klefki... Zoroark Primarina. I don't know, I mean, Klefki Primarina is not bad here, actually. Let's try that out. And in the back... Zoroark? Zolt feels really weird here, but the thing about Dracozolt is that my opponent doesn't play with Coalossal early on. We could max Zolt in the late game. Also, Dracozolt, actually, the more I think about it, is a pretty good counter against Coalossal, because we have Max Quake. I mean, you could obviously go for Volcalith into it, but yeah, I don't know. It's a really cool team from the opposing end, though. I'm a big fan of it. It is Hat Clef, though. Oh, I thought about this, but I didn't feel great leading PZ. I mean, this is still okay, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, it's really not awful. But I think surely you just go follow me here in Trick Room, right? So, like, I want to just Hyper Voice. And maybe Metal... I mean, I don't need to knock out Clef this turn, right? Hyper Voice. Metal Sound on a Hatterene. That probably doesn't KO. Plus, you probably have Sash, and you probably go for Follow Me here too. But there's no point in light screening, nor do I want to Dynamax this turn. So I think this is fine. The only problem now is my opponent does get Trick Room up. So I don't know if I could have gone with the classic Noivern and PZ lead, but that looks so bad into Hatterene Clef. So I didn't feel super comfortable with that. Okay, Metal Sound connects, which is nice. But yeah, Trick Room is a pretty tough matchup for this team if they're actually able to get it up, which has kind of been the problem for us. But this isn't awful because I can just set up a light screen now with the Clef Key. I could also go for a really interesting play later on, which is Self Thunder Wave. But stalling out Trick Room is going to be pretty tough here, I think. I don't think Dazzle KOs from this. So I think we just go Hyper Voice here and Light Screen this turn. The problem is that there is going to be a Dhelmise waiting for us in the back, I think. Could even see Clefable hard switching into Dhelmise right now, but doesn't go for it. Okay, so no Maxes this turn. That's fine. I get my screens up, which is always good. Magic Powder. Huh. That is super interesting. I admittedly have pretty much never seen that move before, but it gets rid of our same type attack bonus here. Still knocks out the Clefable, though. I mean, that's not an awful turn for us, but I think now Dhelmise comes out and it's going to cause some problems, so we have to stall out the Dynamax. Like, I feel like Dhelmise plus Hatterene puts on so much damage against my team, which is really rough. Especially because of what I brought in the back. Like, I think we have to sack the Zoroark here, so I'm just going to switch Primarina out into Zoroark and just go for Dazzling this turn. Yeah, Dhelmise is really good into us, isn't it? I feel like the main problem with both this game and the last one is that our opponents were just able to set up Trick Room, and that doesn't feel great. So what we've done effectively until today was be able to deny Trick Room, but today was kind of tricky, no pun intended, because in that last game, you know, my opponent had something that was super oppressive, and they had the Icy Wind tech too. And what made this one tricky was that the main, you know, duel that I wanted. I mean, I guess PZ. If I go PZ, I could still taunt, go for Trick Room, and because I have the Sash and I survive with both, but then my opponent could just G-Max Hatterene immediately in that position, which doesn't feel great. Either way, yeah, I think you probably just one-shot the Zoroark here, unfortunately, but I feel like could I have sacked there? I don't know. I mean, the thing is, if we KO the Hatterene... Oh, actually, does Dazzle just one-shot here? It does, doesn't it? Oh, it does not. Okay, we survive. Well, Light Screen's clutch there for us. Max Quake. Well done. That will actually probably secure the game up. Yeah, Trick Room was super rough to play against today. And that's just like the classic, you know, using a relatively hyper offensive team. If Trick Room goes up, you're in trouble. This team has really good ways to deny Trick Room. We just unfortunately did not have the best lead either time. Yeah, that was a great attack too. Like, there's little reason to not go for that. How do we win this right now? The thing is that Dazzle just does so much damage into everything. So, don't really think there's much of an out here, to be honest. Especially, well, let's see. There's 2 turns of Trick Room left. Okay. I think that the one possible we win this, because we have Light Screen up, I need Dhelmise to target the Dracozolt right now and Hatterene to Dazzling Gleam. Hope to survive like a Phantasm Dazzle with Zolt the last turn. Go for like Wormwind into the Dhelmise and then pick up a double KO as I bring out Primarina. That's the only way I see us winning this. But Dhelmise, really, really underrated sweeper. Super, super strong, especially in Series 6. We've used it a little bit, you know, this series, but... Or sorry, the previous series, but yeah. I think this is our only chance, but if my opponent just, you know, correctly targets the Zoroark as it protects here, then I think we're done for. Because I don't have Protect on Primarina, you can just max Overgrowth. So, let's see. Magic Powder is really interesting. I've never seen that before. Okay, there's Gleam. I mean, you would think you would target Zolt here, right? It's like this, I feel like is okay. Yeah, they did Max Quake. Actually, I wonder if Gleam and Quake just KOs us. It honestly might with the Life Orb. If it does, I mean, it's just GG. Is there even a point in going for a double protect here? I could switch out. Yeah, actually, maybe we do switch out here. And we Wormwind Dhelmise, I think. Maybe this is winnable. I could have gone for a double protect with the Dracozolt too, but I don't think that makes much sense. I feel like we survived Quake and Dazzling with Light Screen up, but maybe I'm wrong. Because like Hat doesn't have a Life Orb either. Ugh, I don't know. That was a lot of damage. Okay, another Max Quake comes out. That is so strong. I haven't seen Max Quake Dhelmise either before. Like, what ground type attack does it even get? I'm quickly checking. Because I thought we'd be fine in the Dhelmise matchup because I didn't think it'd have a great way to hit the Dracozolt. So, lots of interesting surprises here. I'm guessing it's high horsepower, if I had to guess, but EQ. It's EQ or Bulldoze. Okay. Very interesting. Well, I think the only way we can win now is by critting. Yeah. I maybe should have gone for the double there. I didn't think Dazzle and Max Quake would pick up the knockout, so if like we go for the double and get it, we're actually not in awful shape. If there was any time to go for a double protect, it would have been in that position. Plus 2 Spadef on both, so yeah, it's not looking great. We need a crit with Night Days. And even then, I don't think single target Hyper Voice KOs Hatterene, but it's our only op. And then I'd have to hope for like Coalossal to be the last one. But yeah, Max Quake Dhelmise is super interesting. You obviously want Phantasm, Grass, and Protect. And often, you know, you see Steel Spike as the last one, right? To take advantage of Dhelmise's ability. So, yeah. Learn some new things here today. Honestly, I've never seen Max Quake Dhelmise before. And that's not super crazy either, but I thought we'd be fine even with Trick Room going up here, but evidently that was not the case. Curious how much +2, or sorry, how much Night Days does here, but yeah. Without a crit, not enough for a KO. There is an accuracy drop, so I guess if we crit Hatterene and Dhelmise misses, we could still maybe win. But yeah, I didn't know the Max Quake calc there. Given that there was a Life Orb, though, it probably would have been better to just go for a double protect. Has Grassy Glide, interesting. That's enough for a KO. Yeah, I think today's matchup, it just shows how tricky Trick Room can be. If you don't deny it, it's pretty tough to win. Because there's often going to be some sweeper that just does so much damage under Trick Room. So, what would I lead differently against my opponent specifically to counter Trick Room? It would have to pretty much only be Noivern and Porygon-Z in this game. If I lead Noivern and Porygon-Z, then I can go for the classic taunt and reverse the Trick Room on turn 1. But what's really tough about that is if I'm my opponent, like, you might just be compelled to just go follow me, max the Hatterene, and start attacking. And if they go for that as I set up Trick Room with Porygon, we pretty much lose the game off that. So, I didn't want to gamble it on turn 1. Which is why I led the way I did. So I don't really regret that. I think that was okay. Maybe I needed to bring something else for the Dhelmise, though. Because like switching in Noivern in that position wasn't great. But Max Quake was really the clutch attack here. And that's like, this is a good example of where my opponent played really well, had a great game plan, and they had some surprise moves that were super, super good. Because, I mean, honestly, I didn't even have Max Quake on my radar on Dhelmise beforehand. Like, you know, it was normally Grass, Steel, Water, Ghost. And so now I know Max Quake is another offensive option. So I didn't really have it on my radar, and with that, it was really, really difficult to break through because you were just, I was able to just one-shot everything. So, like, with the knowledge that I have, how would I play that differently? Maybe even Thunderwave Dhelmise just to hope for some full paras, because if we get a single full para while it's Dynamax, that's pretty good for us. You can't really go for self-Thunderwave plays at that point. I maybe could have brought Noivern into this matchup, but, like, I led super heavily to beat the Coalossal, and that's one of the tricky things about Coalossal, right? Where, you know, if you feel forced to lead just to beat it, because if you don't, you'll probably just lose, honestly, if your opponent plays smartly with it. But, you know, my opponent basically one-upped me and led better. But yeah, I don't think we had a super consistent or guaranteed lead there, because our best way to deny Trick Room is to reverse it with PZ. And normally that's worked out pretty well for us. But yeah, it's not foolproof. And so that you know, that's just kind of the trade-off you make when you use an offensive team like this. You say, hey, I know the Trick Room matchup is going to be tricky, and it's going to be tough to play around. If I'm able to deny it or reverse it on turn 1, we probably win. But if I call it incorrectly, it's going to be very difficult to win. So I actually felt like, you know, if Dhelmise doesn't have Max Quake in that matchup, I actually think we're able to effectively sell out Trick Room, and we're probably going to be fine. Maybe bringing Zoroark as the 4th was wrong, though. Maybe bringing Noivern over it would have been better. But I thought Zoroark could have done a lot of damage, especially if Trick Room doesn't go up. So, yeah. Either way, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Thank you to RedTotey for the team. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you all soon. All right. Peace.